Welcome back to another FPL team selection video where I'm going to be taking you through my Game Week 3 team, some potential transfers, and then my Game Week 4 team selection. I hope you all had a nice relaxing international break, but I'm glad it's over and we can get back to some proper football and some FPL content. So Game Week 3 went really well for me. It's been a great start to the season overall. My defence didn't do particularly well as I had double Arsenal defence and they drew 1-1 with Brighton. Declan Rice got sent off in the 49th minute, so they spent the majority of the second half with just 10 men. So I think the fact that they still got a point and only conceded one goal shows that even though they lost a man, they were still on track for a clean sheet. Basically what I'm trying to say is I don't think it was a bad decision to go for them, and it's probably just a little unfortunate about the red card. Let me know if you actually thought it was a red card as well in the comments. I'm interested to see what you think. It was very harsh in my opinion, but unfortunately it's part of the rules. Conte got 2 points as well as Aston Villa conceded to Leicester. It's a bit annoying really. I did think this would be one of the games that Aston Villa would keep a clean sheet. But Villa's run of fixtures is still very good coming up. Fulham drew 1-1 with Ipswich, but Robinson still came away with an assist. I'm really happy with how attacking he is. He could be a really long hold in my opinion. They have conceded in each game so far, but if he's getting the attacking returns anyway, it's not the end of the world. And he finished on 4 points. So overall, only 10 points from my defence. It's a bit disappointing. But moving on to midfield, I did keep the faith and I held Eze for one more week, even away at Chelsea. And he finally managed to get his goal, coming away with 10 points, as he got 3 bonus points as well. That's the thing with these kinds of players. When they do score, they tend to come away with 3 bonus points as well. And I think I've got a few of those in my team. And they're really helping build up my points every week. Smith Rowe didn't get anything against Ipswich, but I guess you can't expect a return every week from a 5.5 million asset. And then Jota got nothing against Man United. He was probably the most disappointing one in my team, especially with Salah coming away with another 17 points. I really thought if Liverpool were going to score 3 goals, that Jota would somehow be involved in at least one of them, but oh well, that's just football sometimes, isn't it? So I do think he's a good pick. But just the way Salah's playing, if he's getting that amount of points each week, I'm not sure Jota's going to get anywhere near that and he doesn't cover it anymore. And then finally in midfield I had Cole Palmer, who did get an assist for Chelsea's goal against Crystal Palace and came away with 6 points. He's definitely still Chelsea's talisman, even with all these attackers they've brought in, and they do have so many wingers, but I can't see Cole Palmer missing out on any minutes, and he will get some more mega hauls throughout the season. He is showing up as yellow flagged at the minute on the FPL app, as he pulled out of the England squad for the international break. But if you want me to be honest, and I have seen it on Twitter already that I think he's back in Chelsea training, I think it was just a protection thing from Chelsea's side really. He's not actually injured, they just don't want him to go and get injured playing for England. So they're effectively faking an injury, and he'll be absolutely fine for Game Week 4. Okay, moving on to attack, and this went really well actually. Isak was another player I stuck with even though everyone was selling him, but it paid off and he came away with 9 points. Chris Wood also came away with 9 points after his goal in Forest's 1-1 draw with Wolves, and then Haaland scored another hat-trick against West Ham to come away with another 17-point haul. That's 7 goals in just 3 games now for him. And like I was saying earlier about the bonus points, all 3 of my attackers got 3 maximum bonus points. They're all just the type of players that if they do get on the score sheet for their team, they're likely to come away with 3 bonus points. The only way I could have got more points this week from my team is if I played Minte over Smith Rowe for an extra 2 points. But it's very minimal, and I'm very happy with my 83 points overall for Game Week 3. It did leave me on an overall rank of 98,670, so we're into the top 100k now, and I'm very happy with that. Hopefully we can keep these green arrows coming and keep working up the ranks. Let me know how you got on in Game Week 3 in the comments, and let's move on to some players I'm looking at targeting for Game Week 4. So if you're quite active on FPL Twitter, you'll notice quite a lot of people are wildcarding this week. That's for a few reasons really. Quite a lot planned that from the start of the season, and they decided to target the first 3 with the players they had. Others may have just issues in their team that weren't there at the start of the season when they picked them. And they may need to wildcard to undo those issues now that the international break's over. And a lot of the casuals will actually use it anyway, as they use all their chips towards the start of the season, and they want to have like the best possible team every week. Whereas we know that that's not possible. And for me personally, I'm about 98-99% sure I'm not going to be using the wildcard this week. There's always that part of me that sees everyone else doing it and has a bit of FOMO and want to hit the button myself, but I can't see myself doing that this week. For those of you that are not using your wildcard, just remember not to worry if you get a lower game week score this week and see your rank go down a little bit, because you've still got yours to use later on. I'd only recommend using your wildcard this week if you have enough issues in your team that you would need to take maybe a -12 hit if you weren't wildcarding. Otherwise, I just don't think it's worth using it this early on. We're better off keeping it in case we make mistakes later on. Either way, there's still a few players that I'm looking at targeting. So first off is Trent. He's just looked really good, and I'll be honest here, at the start of the season I didn't think he was worth the 7 million price tag. But with Liverpool getting 3 clean sheets from 3, and how attacking Trent is, he has to be on my list. He actually did have the ball in the back of the net against Man United, but it was ruled offside by VAR, so owners can actually feel a little bit unlucky that they haven't come away with more points for him there. Obviously, I don't have any money in the bank, so I'll go through my options of how to get him in a potential transfer section next. Another player I'm looking at has to be Salah. I thought at the start, even with Liverpool's fixtures, that Jota would be able to at least slightly cover Salah with the 5 million difference in price. But Salah got another 17-point haul in Game Week 3, and Jota came away with just 3 points. So the difference in points is just too much to ignore, and I might need to find a way of getting Salah and Haaland in my team. And there is a way I can do it, and again I'll go through that in a second. Other players I'm looking at are Mbeumo and Wissa of Brentford. Obviously, if I brought one in, it wouldn't be for this week as they play City, but it would mainly be for their Game Week 6 run of fixtures and to get ahead of the crowd. The issue is that I'm not 100% sure when I do want to use my wildcard, and if it was going to be Game Week 6 or 7 anyway, well then I could just bring them in then, and it would be a waste of a transfer now. So I'm a bit 50-50 on them right now. Anyway, let's move on and have a look at how I could bring in Trent and Salah. So if I wanted Trent, the way I would do it is to take out Lewis Hall, which solves that issue in my team as he keeps getting benched for Newcastle. And to be able to afford it, I would then need to take out Isak and bring in João Pedro, who I think is the most transferred player in this week. At the time of recording, he's at 5.7 million, so that would leave me 0.3 million in the bank afterwards. Pedro does play Ipswich at home, so I do like that fixture, but my concerns are that he will be coming back late from international break, so I'll have to keep an eye on Brazil's final game to see if he's playing. But if he was to play, I'd be worried that he might not start Brighton's game on the 14th. My other concern is that I've already got Minte in my team too, and do I really want 2 Brighton attacking options that are both around the 5.5 million price mark? I'd also then be missing out on Isak, who I know people were disappointed with and sold before his goal last week. But he did score last week. He's had a fantastic international break with Sweden. He scored 3 goals in their 2 games. And they play against Wolves next, who they have the potential to concede a lot of goals. We saw that with Chelsea. And so I'm not so sure I want to get rid of Isak. So I've got to decide if Trent is worth that, seeing as though all it takes is 1 goal from Forest and Trent's clean sheet points are gone. Okay, and then the way I'd get Salah in is I'd actually have to take out Cole Palmer to be able to afford him, which, well, I don't want to do, basically, as I didn't bring him in that long ago, and I brought him in for Chelsea's run of fixtures. But I've got to decide which option is going to get me the most amount of points. Ideally, I'd be able to fit both in, but I just can't afford it. So I'd then have to take out Jota and bring in Rodgers, who also has a good run of fixtures with Villa, and has looked lively in the first 3 game weeks, and then scored twice in England's under-21 games against Austria. Those 2 moves would then leave me with 0.2 million in the bank. So basically, it would be Salah and Rodgers versus Palmer and Jota, who can get the most points over the next few weeks, and I am leaning towards Salah and Rodgers. So at the minute, that's my favourite option, and it would use the 2 free transfers that I have, and so I'd probably end up not doing the Trent move. I just have to be scared when he's on the pitch. Okay, so let's finish off the video by looking at my team selection for Game Week 4. In goal, I've got Raya. Yes, he's away at Tottenham, and it's the North London derby, and that usually has a lot of goals in it. If I'm being honest, I'm not really expecting much. I'm not expecting a clean sheet, but I do think there's always potential for one with the Arsenal defence, and I'm happy to take the risk and just hope for one. At least if they do keep a clean sheet, he will probably have to make at least a few saves, and may even be with a chance of bonus points too. In defence, I've actually doubled up on the Arsenal defence, and I've gone for Gabriel instead of Pedro Porro. This was actually a tough decision, but I basically just decided to back Arsenal in this game. I've loved how attacking Pedro Porro has been so far this season, and he actually took the most amount of shots out of any player in Tottenham's last game. I just don't think Arsenal will give him that amount of freedom, and so for me I think Gabriel is the better option this week. Again, not expecting much, and it's going to be scary with everyone else on wildcard and having Trent in the team, but I've just got to deal with it for this week. There will be other game weeks where it's the other way around, and so I've just got to play the long game. I've also got Robinson in at home to West Ham. Again, not particularly expecting a clean sheet there, but there's definitely a chance of one, especially with it being a home game for Fulham. I've just loved how attacking Robinson has been on that left side, and West Ham is a better fixture for me than Porro against Arsenal, so that's why he's in there. And then finally is Konsa, who plays Everton at home. Now I am expecting a clean sheet in this one. I think Villa should be much too good for Everton, who have been shocking so far. But I'm hoping with this being away at Villa for them, they'll continue to struggle in the same way. Konsa hasn't been particularly attacking so far or anything like that, but he was brought in for their good fixture run, and for me, I'm just hoping for a clean sheet. Into midfield now, and you'll see that I have done that transfer to bring in Salah, so that means both Cole Palmer and Diego Jota have left my team, which hopefully I don't regret. And Mo Salah and Morgan Rogers have entered my team for the first time this season. Salah has Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth and Wolves over the next 3, and Rogers has Everton, Wolves and Ipswich. I'm basically just happy with them up until at least game week 6, so hopefully that helps me not even need to think about a wild card up until maybe even game week 7. I've also got Smith Rowe in against West Ham. That's not the easiest fixture, to be honest, even with FPL putting it as a green fixture, but at least it's at home. So I'm hoping Smith Rowe can get himself on the score sheet again. I've also got Minte, who I'm really excited about for the next few weeks, to be honest. He's got Ipswich at home this week, and then Forest at home, and then Chelsea away in the other 2. I think he could really get some good points for me, and he's still under 2% owned, so he's a massive differential still. Finally for midfield is Eze, who I'm so glad I kept and held my faith in him. He finally got his goal against Chelsea last week, and now he plays at home to Leicester, followed by Man United at home, and then Everton away. So again, another player that I'm just happy to leave in for all 3 of those games up to game week 6. I would be expecting at least 1 or 2 returns from Eze this week against Leicester. And finally, my attack for game week 4, just the 2 this week as I've changed my formation to 3-5-2 rather than 3-4-3. So I've got Isak still for Newcastle's away game at Wolves. Isak had a fantastic international break, and I'm hoping he comes back firing in the same way. And for some reason, I'm just expecting a lot of goals in this game. Hopefully Isak can just be involved in a few of them. And then finally, it's obviously Haaland. 2 hat-tricks in the last 2 weeks. At home again to Brentford this week. At the minute, he's got my captaincy armband, but the other options are Salah against Nottingham Forest or Eze against Leicester. But just the way Haaland's playing, he just looks like he could score a hat-trick against anyone, and I'm happy to have him captained once again. So that leaves Pedro Porro, Wood and Hall on the bench, so hopefully I've not made a mistake with any of them. Let me know what you think of my Game Week 4 team selection down below, and also let me know what rank you're on at the minute. Are you above or are you below me? If you are enjoying the videos, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.